Have you ever wondered why certain people enter your life with such intensity that they seem to shake the very foundations of your being? Why does that specific person trigger emotions in you that no one else can? Why, even when you try to move forward, do you find yourself caught in patterns that feel eerily familiar, as if you're living the same story with different characters? The answer lies in one of the most profound spiritual truths that Edgar revealed through his life's work. Every relationship is a karmic mirror. This isn't just poetry or mystical language. It's a fundamental law of spiritual evolution that governs how souls grow through their connections with one another. When someone enters your life and causes you profound pain, or awakens in you an inexplicable fascination, they are not doing this by accident. They are reflecting back to you a part of yourself that remains hidden, unhealed, or misunderstood. The person who frustrates you the most, who triggers your deepest wounds, who makes you feel emotions you thought you had buried long ago, they are your greatest teacher. They are holding up a mirror to show you what you haven't yet integrated within yourself. This is why we find ourselves in what feels like a loop. You meet someone, fall deeply into a pattern of relating, experience intense emotions, perhaps love mixed with pain, passion intertwined with fear, and then the relationship ends. Time passes, you heal, or so you think. Then you meet someone new, and within weeks or months you realize with shock that you're living through the same dynamics, the same conflicts, the same painful dance. The face has changed, but the lesson remains identical. This repetition isn't cruel, it isn't punishment. It's the universe's most compassionate teaching method. Your soul has come to this physical plane to learn specific lessons, and relationships are the primary classroom for this learning. When a lesson remains incomplete, when you haven't truly understood what the universe is trying to teach you, the same situation will present itself again and again, each time with slightly different circumstances, until you finally grasp the deeper truth. The karmic mirror works in both directions. Just as the other person reflects your unhealed parts, you reflect theirs. This creates what spiritual teachers call a karmic entanglement. Two souls bound together by mutual lessons, circling each other until both achieve the necessary growth. Neither person is the victim or the villain. Both are participants in a divine curriculum designed for their evolution. Consider the person who repeatedly attracts partners who abandon them. On the surface, it appears that they simply have bad luck in love. But the karmic mirror reveals a deeper truth. Somewhere within their consciousness, perhaps from childhood or even past incarnations, there exists a belief that they are not worthy of consistent love. This belief isn't conscious. If it were, they could simply change it. Instead, it operates from the depths of their being, attracting people who will act out this belief by leaving, thus confirming the unconscious pattern. The universe isn't being cruel by orchestrating these painful repetitions. It's actually being incredibly patient and loving, giving you opportunity after opportunity to see what you couldn't see before, to recognize in the external relationship what exists internally. Each repetition is an invitation to look deeper, to ask not, why does this keep happening to me, but rather, what am I being shown about myself? The breakthrough comes when you stop focusing on the other person's behavior and start examining your own inner landscape with ruthless honesty. What fear lives in you that this person activated? What wound from your past is bleeding into your present? What belief about yourself or about love is being reflected in this painful dynamic? When you can answer these questions with genuine insight, the mirror has served its purpose. This is where true forgiveness becomes possible. Not the surface level, I forgive you, that we say to move on, but the profound spiritual forgiveness that recognizes that the other person was simply playing their role in your soul's curriculum. They weren't inherently good or bad, right or wrong. They were a necessary catalyst for your growth, appearing in your life precisely when your soul was ready to learn a specific lesson. The most powerful realization is this: the person you've been trying to change, fix, or escape from was never really the problem. They were the messenger. The actual work isn't out there with them. It's in here, within you. When you finally see yourself with complete clarity in the mirror that relationship provides. When you understand and forgive what you projected onto the other person, something miraculous happens. The need for that mirror dissolves. The karmic loop begins to unwind. This doesn't mean you'll never be challenged in relationships again, but it does mean that specific pattern, that particular lesson, will no longer need to repeat itself. You will have graduated from that level of the curriculum, and your soul will be ready for new lessons, deeper growth, more expansive love. The universe operates on principles of perfect intelligence, even when our human minds cannot comprehend the wisdom behind our struggles. One of the most misunderstood concepts in spiritual growth is the nature of karmic repetition. Many people believe that karma is a form of punishment, that the universe is making them suffer for past mistakes or wrongdoings. This couldn't be further from the truth. The universe does not punish. It repeats, and it repeats with infinite patience, infinite compassion, and infinite commitment to your evolution. Think of karma not as a vengeful force, but as the most dedicated teacher you've ever had, one who will never give up on you, who will present the same lesson in countless different forms until you finally grasp its essence. When you fail to understand a spiritual truth in one relationship, the universe doesn't abandon you to ignorance. Instead, it lovingly recreates the conditions necessary for learning again and again until you achieve mastery. This is why relationships that seem new and fresh often carry within them the seeds of familiar pain. You meet someone who feels completely different from your last partner. Their appearance, their background, their personality, all seem wonderfully unique. You tell yourself that this time will be different. You've learned from your past mistakes. You've grown. You're ready for something healthier. Then, months into the relationship, you find yourself in an argument that feels disturbingly familiar. Or you notice yourself pulling away emotionally in the same way you did before. Or you realize with a sinking heart that you're once again trying to control outcomes out of fear, just as you swore you wouldn't do again. The face across from you is different, but the dance is identical. This isn't coincidence. This isn't bad luck. This is divine repetition at work. The lessons that keep returning in your relationships are not random. They are precisely calibrated to your soul's needs. For some, the repeating lesson is about learning to love without attachment, to care deeply for another while releasing the need to possess or control them. For others, it's about establishing healthy boundaries, learning to say no without guilt, understanding that self-preservation is not selfishness. Many souls return repeatedly to learn the lesson of loving without fear. Fear is the great destroyer of relationships. Fear of abandonment, fear of vulnerability, fear of not being enough, fear of being too much. These fears create walls between hearts that long to connect. When fear governs your actions in relationship, you cannot experience true intimacy. And so the universe, in its wisdom, will continue to place you in situations where these fears arise, giving you opportunity after opportunity to choose love over fear. The most profound aspect of divine repetition is its neutrality. The universe doesn't care whether you learn quickly or slowly. It doesn't judge you for taking multiple lifetimes to grasp a single lesson. It simply continues the cycle, holding space for your growth with infinite patience. Every failed relationship, every painful ending, every moment you thought you couldn't survive, these weren't failures at all. They were practice. They were preparation. They were the universe saying, not quite yet, but you're getting closer. Understanding this transforms how we view our relationship history. Instead of seeing a trail of failures behind us, we can recognize a curriculum of increasing complexity. Each relationship prepared us for the next. Each heartbreak cracked us open a little wider. Each loss taught us something essential about ourselves that we couldn't have learned any other way. The repetition serves another crucial function. It shows us what remains unhealed within us. Our unresolved wounds act like magnets, attracting people and situations that will trigger these wounds into consciousness. This triggering isn't meant to harm us. It's meant to reveal what still needs attention and healing. When you find yourself in the same painful dynamic for the third, fourth, or 10th time, your soul is essentially saying, look here, This is where the work needs to happen. This is what I need you to see. Many people misinterpret this repetition as evidence that they're broken or doomed to fail in love. They wonder what's wrong with them, that they keep attracting the wrong people. But you're not attracting the wrong people. You're attracting the exact right people for where you currently are in your spiritual development. When you change internally, when you truly heal and integrate the lesson, the type of people you attract changes automatically. This is why trying to force a different outcome through willpower alone rarely works. You can't think your way out of a karmic pattern. You can't simply decide to do better next time and expect the cycle to break. The change must happen at a deeper level, in your consciousness, in your beliefs about yourself and love, in the very energy you carry into relationships. The divine repetition continues until you reach what spiritual teachers call karmic completion. This is the moment when your soul finally integrates the lesson fully, not just intellectually, but in every cell of your being. You don't just understand the truth, you become it. You don't just know you should love without fear, you actually do it, naturally and consistently. When karmic completion occurs, something shifts in the universe. The pattern that has followed you through multiple relationships, perhaps even multiple lifetimes, simply dissolves. Not because you fought against it, but because you finally learned what it came to teach you. The teacher, having successfully delivered the lesson, bows and exits the stage. This is the ultimate purpose of divine repetition, not to trap you in cycles of suffering, but to guarantee your spiritual graduation. There exists a profound spiritual truth that most people resist with every fiber of their being. Pain is not your enemy. In the context of relationships, the moments of deepest suffering are actually portals to the most significant transformation. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every devastating loss carries within it the seeds of liberation, if you have the courage to walk through the fire rather than around it. When a relationship ends painfully, something far more complex than simple separation is occurring. On the energetic level, two souls who have been deeply intertwined are undergoing a process of disentanglement. These aren't just emotional bonds being severed, they are ancient connections, sometimes spanning multiple lifetimes, that have kept both souls locked in patterns of mutual learning and mutual suffering. The pain you feel during separation is actually the sensation of these energetic cords being cut, of karmic contracts being dissolved, of old agreements finally being released. Your soul knows that this process, though agonizing, is necessary for your evolution. The human part of you wants to avoid the pain, to numb it, to rush through it. But the soul understands that this pain is doing essential work. It's burning away what no longer serves you, clearing space for new growth. This is why the most painful relationships are often the most transformative. They hurt so much because they're cutting so deep, reaching into ancient wounds that have been festering for lifetimes. When someone triggers your deepest pain, they're not creating new wounds. They're exposing old ones that have been waiting to heal. They're bringing to the surface everything you've tried to bury, forcing you to finally face what you've been running from. Many souls resist this process. They blame the other person for their pain. They build walls to ensure they never feel that way again. They make vows like, "I'll never love like that again," or "I'll never let anyone get that close." But resistance only prolongs the suffering. What you resist persists, as the ancient wisdom teaches. The wound that isn't cleaned and tended will fester and infect your future relationships. The true portal opens when you surrender to the pain rather than fighting it. When you allow yourself to feel everything, the grief, the anger, the sense of loss, without trying to fix it or make it go away prematurely. This surrender isn't weakness, it's the ultimate spiritual strength. It's saying to the universe, "I trust that this pain has purpose. I trust that I'm being transformed by this fire." Within this surrender, something remarkable happens. You begin to see the relationship and its ending from a higher perspective. You start to understand that the other person was never truly the source of your completion or your destruction. They were a catalyst, a mirror, a teacher, but not your savior or your enemy. This realization is the beginning of true freedom. Before souls incarnate into physical form, they make agreements with other souls. These are sacred contracts, established in the realm of pure consciousness, where souls commit to meeting each other in the physical world to facilitate mutual growth. Some agreements are brief, a chance encounter that shifts your perspective. Others span decades or multiple lifetimes, deep entanglements meant to transform both parties fundamentally. The person who keeps returning to your life, whether in this lifetime or across many, is someone with whom you have an active soul contract. You've agreed to meet, to challenge each other, to trigger each other's growth. These aren't random encounters. They're activated by what spiritual teachers call vibrational resonance. When your soul's frequency matches the frequency needed to activate the contract, the meeting occurs. This explains why certain people appear in your life at exactly the right moment, even when logic suggests the timing is wrong. Your rational mind might think, this is terrible timing for a relationship, but your soul knows that the contract has been activated and the lessons must unfold. The universe operates on perfect timing, even when that timing feels inconvenient or painful to your human self. These soul contracts continue cycling until both parties complete their agreed-upon lessons. One soul cannot complete the contract alone. Both must reach the necessary level of understanding and evolution. This is why you might feel completely ready to move on from someone, yet they keep appearing in your life, or you keep thinking about them. The contract remains active until both souls achieve completion. The final liberation comes when the soul reaches a state of profound understanding that transcends the painful patterns of the past. This understanding has three essential components, and all three must be present for true karmic completion. First, you must learn to love without possession. This means caring deeply for another while releasing all need to own, control, or shape them according to your desires. You celebrate their freedom as much as your connection. You understand that true love expands rather than contracts, liberates rather than imprisons. Second, you must develop the capacity for surrender without fear. This is perhaps the most challenging lesson. It means opening your heart fully, making yourself vulnerable, giving yourself completely, all while knowing that loss is possible, that pain might come, that nothing in the physical world is permanent. It's saying yes to love despite the risk, trusting that your soul can handle whatever unfolds. Third, you must achieve forgiveness without the need for return. This isn't forgiveness granted as a transaction, hoping the other person will change or come back. It's the deep spiritual forgiveness that recognizes everyone, including yourself, was doing the best they could with the consciousness they had at the time. It releases all resentment, all bitterness, all desire for revenge or vindication. When these three achievements converge in your consciousness, something miraculous occurs. The karmic cycle completes. The soul contract fulfills. The pattern that has followed you through relationship after relationship simply dissolves, not because you fought against it, but because you finally embodied the wisdom it came to teach you. At this point, the relationship ceases to be a mirror and transforms into a portal. You're no longer looking at your reflection, seeing your wounds and limitations. Instead, you're looking through to something beyond, to unconditional love, to spiritual freedom, to your own divine nature. Karma was never punishment. It was always an invitation to consciousness, a path to evolution disguised as pain and repetition. When you finally understand this truth and embody its lessons, you step out of the cycle and into a new way of loving, one based not on need or fear, but on freedom and conscious choice. This is the gift hidden within every painful relationship, the opportunity to become so completely yourself, so healed, so whole, that you no longer need another person to complete you. And paradoxically, only when you reach this state of completion within yourself can you truly share love with another from a place of genuine freedom rather than karmic necessity. The loop ends, the lesson completes, and your soul, finally free, continues its journey toward ever-expanding consciousness and love. Subscribe and share your story in the comments below. Have you noticed repeating patterns in your relationships? What lesson do you think the universe is trying to teach you? Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Let's grow together on this spiritual journey.